Hello everyone and welcome back to our YouTube channel. How are you feeling today? Hope you're feeling good. Well, I'm very excited for today's video because it involves many activities that you're gonna love and enjoy very much. For the first activity, we're gonna do a warm-up exercise. This is the way we can move our body and we can boost our energy levels for the next activity. What do you think? Come on, let's try this activity and I'm sure you're gonna enjoy it and love it. Let's start by running in our spot. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Amazing. Now let's spin around. We're gonna do it just 2 times. Excellent. Now let's start to jump as high as you can. Jump, 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 jump. Amazing. How is the energy levels, you guys? I hope you're enjoying this activity. For the next activity, we're gonna be reading a book. We're gonna be reading Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big tree. "Now, my dears," said Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put in a pipe by Mrs. McGregor. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I am going out." Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella and went through the wood to the baker's. She bought herself a brown bread and 5 currant buns. Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away into McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. First, he ate some French beans and then some radishes. And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. But round the end of a cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees, planting out young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" Peter was dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes amongst the cabbages and the other amongst the potatoes. After losing them, he ran on 4 legs and went faster, so that I think he might have got away altogether if he had not unfortunately run into a gooseberry net and got caught by large buttons on his jacket. It was blue jacket with brass buttons, quite new. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears, but his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows who flew to him in great excitement and implored him to exert himself. Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve which he intended to pop upon the top of Peter, but Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind him, and rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had so much water in it. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hiding underneath a flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each. Presently, Peter sneezed, "Catchoo!" Mr. McGregor was after him in no time, and tried to put his foot upon Peter, who jumped out of a window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was too tired for running after Peter. He went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he had not the least idea which way to go. Also, he was very damp with sitting in that can. After a long time, he began to wander about, going lippity-lippity not very fast and looking all around. He found a door in a wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. An old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans to her family in the wood. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large bee in her mouth that she could not answer. She only shook her head at him, and Peter began to cry. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he came more and more puzzled. Presently, he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his water cans. A white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still, but now and then the tip of her tail twitched as if it were alive. Peter thought it's best to go away without speaking to her. He had heard about cats from his cousin little Benjamin Bunny. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a who scritch, scratch, scratch, scritch. Peter scuttered underneath the bushes, but presently, as nothing happened, he came out and climbed upon a wheelbarrow and peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could go along a straight walk behind some black currant bushes. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket and shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got home. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a fortnight. I am sorry to say that Peter was not feeling very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea and gave a dose of it to Peter. But Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for supper. This is the end of the story, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the story. Now take a minute to think about what you think is the moral of the story. Hey guys, welcome to our next activity. This is most probably your favorite part because it involves getting your hands on something and creating something very exciting. Now, first thing, we're gonna need some water and 3 empty bowls we're gonna fill the water with, and we're gonna need 2 extra bowls. Okay, we're also gonna need some food coloring. I have 3 colors. I have blue, I have yellow, and I have red. We're also gonna be needing some paper towels and something to mix the food coloring into the water in. Let's start. So first thing, we're gonna add some water into each bowl. And then we're gonna add some food coloring, the color into each bowl. So I'm gonna put the red one here. Yellow in the second one. And then blue in the last one. Whoa. And now we're gonna mix it in. For the next step, we're gonna be adding the 2 empty bowls in between, just like that. And then we're gonna using the paper towels and we're gonna fold it in half, like this, and then fold it again, like this, and then fold it one last time, like this. Okay. One, like this. And we're gonna leave it like this for the next day, and you're gonna see how the water travels from here to here, and the same as well here. Hope you enjoyed this activity, and we're gonna see the results in 24 hours. See you! Bye. This is after 24 hours. You can see that the empty cups are now filled with water, and the color traveled from here to here. And if you can see, red with yellow formed orange, and here yellow with blue formed a bit of greenish color. Try this experiment and give me your opinion in the comments section below.